Welcome to Filmi Ladies. I am very excited today because this is our next Superstars episode, and we're going to talk about the one, the only, the queen, Aishwarya Rai. Fair warning, I'm going to be extremely irritating and obnoxious in this episode if I'm not always, because I love this woman so much. So, Aishwarya Rai. I don't even know what to say about this woman because she's such an icon, especially if you're Gen X like I am, or I guess even for the elder millennials, because we saw Aishwarya Rai on our TV screens for so long before she actually debuted in the movies. Like, we knew who this woman was. We had seen her Pepsi ad, we had seen her Garden Variety ads, we had seen her Lakme ads. Her face was plastered everywhere in every part of India before she even became a film actress. And she was also Miss World. And this is back in the era when pageants were a really big deal. And I remember being that person who would watch like the Miss India contest, and I would watch Miss World and everything. So the woman is iconic. And like I always like to say, she's my favorite of the Bachchans. I only like one Bachchan, and that's Aishwarya Rai Bachchan. Anyway, so we're going to talk about a few of her films today. I know that this podcast tends to be very Aishwarya Rai heavy anyway, because I take every opportunity I can to talk about Aishwarya Rai films. And so it was kind of hard trying to find movies of hers to watch, because when I looked at her filmography, I was like, I have basically seen all her films except maybe two. And those two films I have avoided for very specific reasons. So because I believe in character building, and I believe that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, I decided to watch a movie that I have studiously avoided, because I thought I would learn something from it. I learned many things from it, all of them bad, but we will get to that. That film was Guzaarish, and I have many things to say. And then, in an effort to buoy my spirits up and not be angry anymore, I decided to rewatch a familiar favorite, which is Iruvar, Mani Ratnam's Iruvar. So I watched Guzaarish and then I watched Iruvar, and I have many opinions on both films. Beth, which movie did you watch of hers?
I watched Pyaar Ho Gaya, which for those like me who did not already know, that it's her Hindi debut and it's in her first year
Yes.
of being in films at all. So it's very, very early in her
Yeah.
biography. I know at some of these other Superstars episodes, I have tried to watch the debut of the person if I hadn't already seen it. And that's such a fun exercise. I need to remind myself to do that more often because
Yeah.
it's interesting as as an artifact and learning who this person is and thinking about what it's like to debut at the time they debuted and things like that. Um,
And how they were in their first film, and how much
right,
growth they may have shown or not shown
right.
through the years. And it's funny, or Pyaar Ho Gaya came out in 97, which is also the same year as her total film debut, which is Iruvar. So that's her first film that ever. Iruvar came out in January 94. And that was also her Tamil debut. And then Aur Pyar Ho Gaya came out some other time in 97. So, what are your thoughts on Aur Pyar Ho Gaya? I know I recommended it, so hopefully it was a positive recommendation.
So, again, regular listeners or people who've known me on the internet for a long time will know 97 is we are clearing into a zone of films where I tend to like them more. So, with Ronnie also debuting at approximately just 1 year earlier, right? We are now in a
Yeah,
safe zone for Beth.
yeah.
We've cleared the sort of mid 80s to mid 90s period. And so I was definitely, when you recommended it, especially, I thought, oh yeah, and then it's with Bobby Deol, and I was like, sure, love some Bop and Bobby,
Yeah.
um, some of that vibe. And I read the plot, and I was like, that sounds fine. It sounds fine. I really enjoyed it. What I
Yay.
specifically want to call out in it is, like Ronnie, who was the last superstar we talked about, the confidence and assuredness of her performance. I would never have guessed this was her first, basically her
Yeah.
first, right? Okay, she'd done one other, and again,
Hmm.
like, did they film versus when did they release, whatever. But her first Hindi film, like a very, very strong debut, I would say.
Yeah.
And I was really impressed, especially because a lot of it is comedy. And for so many people, that's actually harder. Now, yes, some of it's the like, I'm irritated at you version of comedy, which I think is
The
easier than other kinds. And if you are Miss World, you probably know how to project a I'm better than you vibe. I'm not saying that is her personality, but I'm saying I bet that's part of that job and part of what you experience as
mhm.
beauty queen, you know, uh,
Like, you're literally on a pedestal.
yeah. your success at that probably translates into being able to project this well. The the camera loves her. I think she loves the camera. Uh they but I thought she was really, really strong. And
Yeah.
I think she's a lot better than Bobby, frankly,
Yeah.
which
Well, I mean,
necessarily saying a ton, but he's done more films than she has at this point, right? And he also is pretty. Uh,
yes.
and he had every, well, as far as I know, and I'm no expert, but having your dad be Dharmendra is a good leg up in the industry. Um,
Hmm.
so although he has a lot to live up to too, and I'm sure that's hard, and obviously he's very different than his dad and his brother. But I really thought she did great. I
Yeah.
really, I enjoyed it a lot.
And the songs in that movie are so good. And I love her dances in it. And it's kind of funny to watch her
Yeah.
and Bobby dance because she's so much better.
And to get that, so again, if you haven't seen the film, her first moment on camera is a song, and they are hiding her face, right? She's getting the
Mm,
big hero style. Who is it? Who is it? Who is it? Build up. I love it. We've talked about heroine entry songs a little bit on this podcast, but this is her heroine entry in Hindi cinema. And
yeah.
really good. I love her dancing. My understanding is she's well regarded as a dancer.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong,
So
but
good.
I thought she was great. She's pretty bewitching to watch, honestly. Um,
You really can't look away from the screen when Aishwarya Rai is on it. I know I'm a fangirl and I will say things like that, but it's not even the fact that she's so beautiful, it's her charisma.
but I feel like that is not true for everybody, right? And
Correct.
we say whenever we talk about these kind of things, there is always going to be a handful of people who don't see or don't respond to the magic that a lot of the rest of us see.
Yes.
I fall for her magic. It works on me, absolutely. But I know not everybody feels that way. I know a lot of people think she's actually not a very good actor.
Right.
Or at least in lots of films, she's not a very good actor. I enjoy her. I'm not the level you are, but like I always enjoy her. I think I even have a tag on my blog of posts marked Ashwarya apologist. Not not that she needs me to defend her, but I have always enjoyed her.
Yeah.
And I want to say one thing about her beauty, which is that I mean legendary, obviously. I think
Mm.
she's so much more interesting looking than so many of the people who get held up as great beauties. Um, like and yes, her eyes are very striking, but it's not just that. I just think overall she's just completely bewitching.
Yeah.
I get
I
it.
think for me, like when I think about her beauty, it's again, it's not that I think that she's the only beautiful person. Like I always hold up Wahida as like,
Sure.
just gorgeousness. But I think for me, what I respond to with Aishwarya is how expressive her face is.
Very
You
expressive.
can tell this is a woman who has trained in Bharatanatyam her whole life.
Mhm.
Because one of the things I love about the dancer actresses, as I like to call them, whether it's Vijanti Mala or Madhuri Dixit or Vahida Rahman or Aishwarya Rai or Sridevi, is that their faces are very mobile, and it's because at least in India, if you want to learn Kathak or Bharatanatyam, your parents are putting you in class when you're 3 years old. Like my cousin has learned Bharatanatyam and she was in class as a 3 year old learning all of that stuff. And if you've studied it until you were like a teenager or whatever, you had like 10, 15 years, and then you did your Arangetram, which is like your stage debut. You're not really considered like a Bharatanatyam dancer until you have your Arangetram. So you had 10 plus years of a teacher telling you to move your face and do all of the bhavs and all the navrasas and to express. So the dancer actresses in Bollywood, honestly, they hit different because their faces are so mobile. And I think one of the criticisms that Aishwarya receives, which is that people think that she's over expressive, I actually do think that it comes from her Bharatanatyam background. Her
Sure.
face moves very fast, and that's a very I have learned Bharatanatyam thing,
Mhm.
because you have to move it with that level of rapidity. It's the same with Sridevi. It's the same with Jayaprada, right? Kathak is a little not as. So I think the Kathak dancers are a little bit more reined in like Madhuri is,
Mhm.
but a lot of that over expressiveness and over dramaticness comes from the Bharatanatyam background. But yeah, to me, that's actually what's most bewitching about her is that her face is always doing something.
Always.
It's not just I'm so beautiful, look at me. Because there are plenty of like beauty queen duds in Bollywood where you look at them and you're like, yes, objectively, you're absolutely gorgeous, but also your face is not doing anything. You're an actor. What are you doing? Or like the model actors.
Right.
So remind me, what is the plot of Aur Pyaar Ho Gaya? It's been so long that I've seen it, and all I know is that they're just having fun in Europe.
Yeah, so she has been her father is Anupam Kher and her
Hmm.
grandfather is Shami Kapoor, which is a great lineage, obviously.
Yes.
Uh, and her family wants her to marry this guy whose name is it Rohit? I think it's Rohit. I don't even remember. It doesn't matter.
How generic, but
Yeah,
okay.
Rohit, yeah. And so she doesn't want to marry someone without meeting him first
Hmm.
because she has a friend who has gotten married and is subdued and sad and like doesn't socialize and stuff anymore.
Hmm.
So she doesn't want that to happen to her. And I've already forgotten, but I think her friend kills herself.
Oh no. Okay.
Am I I already don't remember this from the movie, but I'm pretty sure that her friend, yeah,
Okay.
I'm sorry, dies by suicide. Um, and so she's like, I want to go meet this guy, but I want him not to know who I am. So she
Hmm.
can go to Europe and find him and get to know him without him realizing, so she can make sure that he's not, he doesn't drink too much, he doesn't gamble too much, he's not going to cheat on her, etc. How you know all this from stalking someone for a few days in Switzerland, I do not know, but this is movie logic, so here we go. So she goes to Switzerland and Bobby,
Bops into her life.
pops into her life. Now, he is not actually her intended, but
Oh.
like mechanisms are afoot. So they get to know each other. She's all like, about him at first and, whatever. But of course, they fall in love and then they go back to their parents. And it turns out that his mother is a banker
Hmm.
who is overseeing a loan to Anupam Kher that should not really have been made. There's financial dodginess happening.
Mm.
And that's at the very beginning of the movie. And you're like, why is this business happening? I want my cute love story in Switzerland, or at least some dancing or something. Come on. Um, so then it turns out that the Indian equivalent of the Fed or whoever, right, some
Mm.
financial organization is investigating him, and the banker gives them information that is true, but that damages his reputation. So then he's like, well, no, of course we can't. My daughter won't marry your son because blah, 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 blah. Is it does get mentioned.
Mm.
And um, and never is there enough, in my opinion, statement of like, dude, you brought this on yourself by doing your shady shiz. This is on you. The bank is just following the law. So
Mm.
excuse you. And then, spoiler, at the very end, there is, how we love a chase to the airport?
Yes.
This one goes one further. She and her daddy are already on the plane. Her daddy,
Okay.
her like daddy, are already
Yeah.
on the plane. And Bobby like chases after them running down the runway. And then he gets on one of those stairway vehicles and he's like trying
Oh
to get
yeah.
the plane that way. And then like the stairway vehicle like falls over and crashes. And the computer animation is amazing. And then she comes down the inflatable emergency thing off the plane to be with him. And then her dad slides down too, and he's like, "Oh, you crazy kids love each other. It's okay. I'll give you a blessing." The end.
That's cute, and I had completely forgotten all of that.
Banana pants at the end. It really, really is. But again, they go for it, and I
Yeah.
enjoy it. The director of this film is Rahul Rawali, who did Love
Oh,
Story,
Rahul Ravel.
which I've
Yeah.
never seen, but I recognize a lot of his filmography, and he did Betab, which I loved so much
Mm.
for our Amrita Singh
He
episode.
also made BBO BB, which I love.
Right. So
He's made a lot of like goofbally things and like
yeah,
rom-coms
I
also.
think, and I didn't know that when I chose this movie, but when I was looking, I
Mm.
was like, oh yeah, very capable hands, right? It would seem,
Yes.
and again, especially because I loved Betab so much. So I really recommend this movie. I thought it was really fun. You could just watch the songs and also enjoy the heck out of it. Our friend
Oh,
Stephanie, the Tiger Shroff scholar, is also a big fan of Bobby Deol, especially in this era. So I was texting with her. I was like, Melanie, have you seen this movie? She said, no, it's on the list. I was like, please watch it right now. And
she must.
I sent her the first Bobby Aishwarya song, which is him imagining her because he's seen her picture in a magazine and he's in love with
Mm.
her, which is not creepy at all.
All right.
And so he's imagining her dancing around. And one of the strengths of this film I thought was very clever is they make sure to put her in a different outfit basically every time you see her. So the modeling aspect of her abilities is also put to the fore. And I actually thought that was really clever because A, it's a thing people will recognize about her. Like people have already seen her as a model and wearing outfits as a beauty queen, but also it's probably comfortable for her, right?
Hmm.
They're giving her things to do that she knows already how to do. Now, I understand that walking a fashion walk or being a model in still photography or even TV ads or whatever is different than being in a movie, but I feel like they're playing to her
Yeah.
skill set or her likely skill set and our sort of imagination of what her skill set is really well. And of course, she wears the heck out of all these outfits.
Yeah.
It's 1997 is not my favorite era of fashion. I was in graduate school at this time. I remember it well, but like I really feel she's carrying a lot of this out.
Yeah.
There's a mix of, new and traditional and Western and Indian and all that. There's
Hmm.
a scene where she's buying a racehorse and she's wearing a black suit with a white shirt and a tie, very Juhi Chawla coded, I would
Mm.
looks amazing. And like her hair is just very
Right.
simple. And you see her green eyes with this like black suit. She looks so cool. It's very like um Annie Hall, but for
Oh
1997.
yeah.
Yeah, like
Hmm.
in a like rich girl way.
Right. Like give her jodhpurs and like a
Oh,
hat.
she looks so
Yeah.
cool. And like again, Amrita Singh, I feel like would have carried
Right.
that off really well too. So good fun. Loved this film.
Yeah.
Watch it if you haven't. Even if you're sort of 90s, like kind of like I am, like I'd say go for it. It's really
It's
good.
so good.
There's an ongoing joke in the movie about Anupam Kher has really long hair and he's always like getting it braided and stuff, and his mom,
Okay.
they're combing it for him, and they just go on and on about this. And then there's a whole comic thing where Bobby makes fun of his hair, not knowing that's his future father-in-law. So that,
Uh,
and of course, Bobby has hair like the length of mine. So,
right.
sir, sir. But there's all this stuff about Anupam Kher's hair, and I wish I knew kind of more about what that was supposed to be about, if anything, or if it's just a joke line.
I
I don't.
think it was just comedy uncle taken too far,
Yeah, and Anupam,
which often happens with Anupam Kher.
yeah, he's in this sort of like it reminded me of like hair that's graying but has been hennaed. It's kind of orangey.
Mm.
I don't
Hmm.
know, but you're like, what? Why is this the thing? And also, Shami Kapoor also has kind of longer hair at that time. So again, like the other two main men in this film are not dissimilar. Like, I don't know why
Right.
that's a through line, but it is. I've gone on for too long. Watch this movie. She's really good.
Yeah.
It's very pleasing. It seems like the kind of thing that could have been a Govinda film, but isn't.
Yeah.
Especially because they're in Switzerland for so much. I associate him with Switzerland for some reason.
Hmm.
Um, Good fun. Give it a watch.
There's that song in it that I love. Well, I love all the songs from this movie, but you know the song, I think that might be her heroine entry song where she's wearing the silvery gray Gagra choli,
Yeah.
the look chupke mein chaldi gali gali. I still love that song. And there's a line in it where she's talking about all the cities she wants her lover to visit
Yes.
and all the gifts she
Yes.
wants to bring
Yes.
him, which is so
Yes.
funny.
Yeah.
And there's a line in it that says, Lucknow jaye to le aaye kurta kamdani. And you know how Zohran Mamdani is just like potentially going to be the next mayor of New York City, which I'm rooting for him. Also, it's so crazy to me that it's Mira Nair's son. And I'm like, what? What is happening? All these worlds colliding. But anyway, ever since Zohran Mamdani entered that race, and I've been following, and Lunchy and I talk about it because Lunchy lives in Brooklyn, I keep thinking of his name and rhyming it with Kurta Ka Madani. And me and my luck is so bad. I guarantee you the next time I'm in New York, which I visit fairly often, I'm going to bump into this man and I'm going to be like, hello, Zoran Mamdani, Kurta Ka Madani. And then someone's going to put me in jail.
Well, if he becomes mayor, you won't get anywhere near him, so it's okay.
This is fine. Okay. Anyway, so my movies were Iruvar and Guzaarish. Iruvar is one of my favorite movies of all time. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. In an interview with Bharadwaj Rangan, Mani Ratnam said that it was his favorite of his films that he's done. And it's when Mani Ratnam says that, you have to pay attention to him. The man is not really capable of making a bad movie. Like even the worst Mani Ratnam movie is still leagues ahead of what most people do. And I love Iruvar so much. So this movie was only made in Tamil, so I have to watch it with like subtitles. But I know all the songs by heart, and Aishwarya has like a double role in it, and those roles are not connected. So it's Iruvar means the duo, and it's loosely based on like these giant names in Tamil Nadu, and Mohanlal and Prakash Raj are the two friends turned rivals turned frenemies, where Mohanlal is an actor and Prakash Raj is like a screenwriter and dialogue writer and poet, and they become friends through the movie industry. And then they both kind of enter politics, and then it's basically about their friendship. And so Aishwarya Rai has two roles. She plays the bride that Mohanlal marries in the first part of the movie, Pushpa, who dies a very early death. But she has like brown contact lenses in this film, like as Pushpa, and she's like this village girl. And it's so interesting to see Aishwarya in like these very simple cotton saris, and she's wearing like the two nose rings, and she has gajras in her hair and no makeup, but she has like kajal. She's very like Tamil lady from that era, from like a small village. And she's very like demure and shy and like submissive, and just she's so cute in that. But then that's a short role. And then the other role is as a starlet and an ingenue, and apparently that was like inspired by Jayalalitha, which Jayalalitha had a huge problem with it, and she was like, this movie has nothing to do with me. That was the controversy that Iruvar had. um
Interesting.
and so she plays this kind of like rising starlet ingenue who then has an affair with Mohanlal, who is a big superstar at that point. And part of the reason he's attracted to her is because he says in an earlier scene that she reminds him so much of Pushpa. And that starlet Aishwarya, whose name is Kalpana, she actually has her normal eyes. So she doesn't wear brown contact lenses. And she gets to do all the heroine things because she's literally playing a heroine, like a rising star. So it's kind of like Urmila and Rangila, where you get to see her shooting for songs and wearing all these costume changes, and like they're romancing on screen, but then they're also having an affair off screen. He's already married, and it's a scandal, blah, blah, blah. It's great. It's amazing. And this movie has everyone firing on all cylinders. So first of all, Mani Ratnam, director. A.R. Rahman gives one of the best soundtracks of his life. I don't even speak a word of Tamil except like Manakam, and I know all the songs. Of course, I mispronounce them greatly, but all her dances in this movie are so good, Beth. Like the starlet Aishwarya, she gets to do like jazz and tap dance, and she does like a flappery dance in there. So the WhatsApp I sent you, it's she's wearing this green, like kind of like Sid Charisse inspired neon green outfit with like pigtails, and she's doing this very like cabaret-esque number. Oh, so good. And then there's a song called Vanilla, which literally means the moon, and that one is shot in front of the Taj Mahal, and it's very interestingly shot by Rajiv Menon. Like it's shot during the daytime in front of the Taj Mahal, but like the song is about the moon because it refers to her, not the actual nighttime. And that has like the slow jazz melody to it. Oh my god, she looks like $1,000,000 as the starlet, and she really holds her own. And to be able to hold your own when you have Mohanlal on screen with you, that's an achievement. Like, they have scenes where they're sparring with each other because she wants him to marry her, and he's like, no, I am married and this would be a gigantic scandal. And she has a scene where she's in his office, she barges in and she basically says, oh, so I'm good enough to have an affair with, but I'm not good enough to marry. Okay, all right. And then his wife comes, and it's like, the tension. um she acquits herself beautifully in this film. Her acting is top notch. Her dancing is top notch. She holds her own against formidable talents like Mohanlal in the same screen. And she's just the best in this movie. Like, I love Iruvar so much, and I always watch Iruvar for her. Also, the cinematography is by Santosh Sivan. So every frame in this movie is just beautiful. This is everyone firing on all cylinders. Unfortunately, the movie was a box office failure. I have no idea why, but it's a really good movie, and I recommend it. And the next movie I watched was horrible. The movie I watched was Guzaarish, which is directed by Sanjay Leela Bhansali, whom I cannot stand.
Which I also have studiously avoided. So you are really taking one for the Filmy Ladies team
I
here.
really was, and
And
it
these
is.
this stars two of your very favoriteest people. So
It has
for
Hrithik
you
Roshan.
not to have watched it is really saying something.
Yes, because it is directed by Mansali, whom I cannot stand. And also the plot is just sounds so horrific. So I was like, oh, good Lord, no. And I am very sorry to say that this movie is as bad as I thought it would be. So bet this is very much an avoid year. Do not watch it, despite
Okay.
whatever love you may have for Aishwarya Rai. So the movie is terrible. It's set in Goa. Um, Hrithik Roshan plays a guy called Ethan Mascarenas, who is a magician. who is now a paraplegic. And he basically has a nurse who has to take care of him, which is Aishwarya Rai. Because, of course, we live in a world where Aishwarya Rai is your nurse, and she wears these very Spanish inspired flamenco esque outfits with like beautiful makeup and
I mean,
chunky jewelry.
Aishwarya Rai is your nurse, whatever, but flamenco.
Oh, you should see her
We're
costumes.
in
I have
Goa,
never
right?
met, yes, but
Which
I have never seen someone dressed
also,
like this.
let us be clear, Goa was Portuguese.
Yes,
Flamenco is
but
Spanish.
yes, but you should see her
It's the same.
outfits.
Oh, I
All her
remember. I
makeup,
remember.
her hair, everything is always done up to a nine. And there's a scene where she talks to, so she has been his nurse for like 12 years. And there's a scene where she talks about how, or someone says to her something about how his life is so bad, like, you know, he's so dependent on her and on everyone because he's a paraplegic. And she literally has to clean his like his bedpan and stuff like that. He's like, he's not even able to pee and poop. And I was like, in those designer outfits, okay, this is making no sense, but fine, it's a Bansali movie, we don't expect it to make sense. Everything is very contrived, everything is very style over substance because it's SLB. And the whole movie is about how Hrithik Roshan's life sucks, and he basically wants to be able to kill himself. And so the movie is about a court case that his friend, who is a lawyer, files a petition on his behalf to the High Court or Supreme Court of India, whatever, asking for the right to euthanasia, which is illegal in India last time I checked. But that is his petition. And in theory, this is a good subject. In theory, I mean, I personally support the right to die because it's no one's business to tell you. So I 100% support the right to die. And so I would be interested in watching this movie. And the movie does make some good points about it. Like, there's a very effective scene, I thought, where Hrithik Roshan, because he still has some of his like magician paraphernalia, he tells this lawyer who is played by Rajat Kapoor, who is the opposing, so he's the prosecutor and who represents the government of India. He actually tells him to get into a box, and he's like, why? And he's like, just humor me, just get into this box. It's like one of those boxes that magicians use. And so he gets into it, and then he basically it's like just a few seconds, but he feels so claustrophobic because he can't move or anything. And Hrithik Roshan is like, that's what my life is, right? So I found that scene very effective, and I thought actually Hrithik Roshan did a really good job because he's so frustrated throughout this film. He hates his life. He has tantrums. He's just really, really good in this film, I thought. And I just don't understand why you would cast one of the best dancers and a person I really associate with having like a very mobile body, and why you would just have him prone in a bed for 2.5 hours. But I kind of get it now.
Acting.
Yeah, for acting, and he actually acquits himself fairly well, I would say. He probably wasn't even acting. Like Hrithik Roshan being such a fidgety and mobile person, it was probably horrific for him to just have to lie in bed and not be able to do anything, not even move his like shoulders and arms. So it's probably not even acting. But anyway, Hrithik does a good job. The writing is horrific. The direction is abysmal. Aishwarya Rai's character makes absolutely no sense. It makes no sense. It is paper thin. The character is basically, I'm a very beautiful woman and I'm a nurse to this man who I secretly have a crush on, but I can't say it because he's also my employer and my patient, and I don't want him to die, but okay. It's horrible. The woman deserved more. I understand why Hrithik Roshan and Aishwarya signed up to do this film, because they probably thought that there was going to be an opportunity for them to act well, but the movie is just very, very, very bad. And Aishwarya Rai is okay. I don't think she's as good as Hrithik Roshan is, but like I said, she does not have a good role. It's really paper thin. I was trying to think, I was like, could an actor who is stronger than Aishwarya maybe have made an impact in this role? And I was like, yeah, like I think that like if they cast Tabu, for instance,
Hmm.
I do think Tabu would have done a better job than
Mhm.
Aishwarya. But I still don't think that even Tabu would have been able to get past how poor the material is. And I have recently seen a Tabu movie where even Tabu let me down because the material was so bad, which is Fitur. I had never thought I would say I did not enjoy Tabu in a movie, but that did happen with Fitur. So I think Aishwarya's role in this film is so poorly written that absolutely no one could have saved it. So that's not an L for her. It's just a bad movie. Also, you know, I have a cell phone test where I measure how good a movie is if I feel the temptation to take my phone and start scrolling on WhatsApp or Instagram. I actually like entered a new frontier. I fell asleep twice. To be fair, I had had dosa for lunch and the carbs really hit me, and it was in the afternoon, and I was sitting on my sofa, and it was like a warm summer's day, and I'm watching Guzaarish on my laptop, and it's hella boring, and I have carbs in my stomach, and like I can hear like the hummingbirds and everything outside, and so like my eyes start closing. So this 2.5 hour movie took me 3 hours to watch because I would fall asleep, I would wake up and be like, wait, what did I miss? I had to rewind and then watch it again.
Oh no.
So part of me sleeping twice in this film is just the fact that I had eaten a heavy lunch and it was the afternoon, but a lot of it is just how boring this movie is. So I do not recommend Guzaarish to anyone. It's a terrible movie. Do not watch it. It is very frustrating. It doesn't even have good songs. Like the whole Sajid Bansali really hypes himself up on having like good songs. Like Devdas has great songs. Kamoshi has great songs. This movie doesn't even have good songs. And there's this one like flamenco-esque Spanish-inspired song Mil Gayi, where Aishwarya has like the rose in her hair and she's doing these like steps or whatever. And even that was just kind of like a yawn. So the whole movie is a yawn. Don't watch it. But I do credit Aishwarya for doing this film.
Hmm.
So yeah, so I watched a very excellent film and then I watched a very rubbish film, but I'm proud of myself for finally checking Guzaarish off my list.
Oof.
Yeah, it was a lot. What was I going to say? This brings me to a point I wanted to make, which is I do not think that Aishwarya gets credit for doing as many diverse and interesting roles as she
I
does.
would tend to agree. Yeah, I feel like we don't, as a general fan base, right? Like that maybe doesn't get mentioned as much for her as it does for some other people.
Yeah. And I actually think that she's one of those people that has consistently stepped out of her comfort zone. I mean, she literally debuted in the films with Iruvar with a very unusual role, and with a regional film in a language she does not speak. Like Aishwarya does not speak Tamil. Every Tamil
She
film she's
dubbed?
ever done, huh?
Is
She's
she
dubbed.
dubbed in Iruvar? Okay.
She's dubbed in Iruvar, Kandoukondain, Ponniyin Selvan. I mean, Mohanlal was also dubbed in Iruvar because he's from Kerala, and Tabu is also in Iruvar. She has a small role. She plays Prakash Raj's mistress or second wife. I wasn't sure, but she's dubbed as well.
Oh,
So I think having your first film ever be a Mani Ratnam directorial where you're playing this very D-glam role and then you're playing this kind of conniving, socially climbing, but has a
and
lot
also
of,
based on a real life person who
yeah,
formidable.
who did not enjoy the fact that this movie
Right,
was being made.
right.
I think that was a big risk that she took, and it was really fantastic. And pretty much, I would say most of my favorite Aishwarya Rai movies are actually movies that are regional. Like I love her Tamil films. I also really like Chokher Bali and Raincoat. I mean, Raincoat is Hindi, but it's made by Rituparno Ghosh, and again, so unusual. Chokher Bali is so unusual as well. Like she's definitely done a lot of films where she really had to stretch herself. She has not like done these cookie cutter comfort zone films. I actually really liked her in Provoked as well. I've only watched that movie once because it's so hard to watch.
I thought about
Um,
watching that for this, and then I didn't do it.
it's a hard watch, but she's great in it. So I think she doesn't get as much credit as she should for doing films that, are outside her comfort zone. If anything, I would say that as her fan, I have actually avoided some of her films. Like I haven't seen Jazba, I haven't seen Sarabjit, just because I feel like Sarabjit is going to be a really difficult watch.
Mhm.
But like my mom really likes Aishwarya Rai, and so she went and saw Jazba in the movie theater. My mother, who does not like films and is not a film buff at all, likes Aishwarya Rai, and so she went and saw Jazba. And I remember my mom's favorite song for the longest time was what is that ridiculous song, Crazy Kiare from Dhoom. My mom loved that song. I was like, you like Crazy Kiare? And my mother was like, yes, I love her in it. I'm like, okay, sure. So yeah, she doesn't get credit for that. What are your views on the extreme criticism that she receives for being a bad actor? I don't agree with it, but what are your
Yeah, I
thoughts?
mean, I just don't agree with it, and I will say I think there's more to it than what I'm about to say, but I think this is a role. Heaven forbid someone be beautiful and talented, right? Like I
Yeah.
think it's basically that. I think that not just her beauty, but the way we all talk about her beauty and that her beauty has
Mm,
been discussed for over 30, well, for 30 years, basically at this point,
yeah.
um, has put has been such a presence that the conversation around her kind of doesn't isn't natural under its weight or something. And I think she's at least for recent to current stars. I don't know if you call her a current star. She doesn't, act a
Mm,
ton anymore. Um, does she have it worse than the others in terms of that? She is the only Bollywood actress who gets called the most beautiful woman in the world, for example.
yeah.
That's a
Mm-hmm.
lot to
It's a lot of baggage.
have to deal with, but it's also a lot to have as a millstone in the conversations about you that don't even help
Mm-hmm.
you.
Yeah.
So I think some of it has to be that. Um,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like when we were discussing Minu Kumari, like she's so known for being a tragedy queen. It's like we can't get that out of the way to talk
Yeah.
anything else almost. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that while that appellation and all is something that I'm sure helped her get some of these options to do these interesting films, and maybe especially the ones abroad.
Mm-hmm.
It also maybe I'm sure it has shaped the conversation unfairly about her. However, you know, like even you were saying, could someone better than she has done something more in Guzaarish? She's not always the strongest, and maybe
Right.
drama is not her forte, and rather maybe we prefer her in, if not comedy, something a little more light or something that
Mm-hmm.
is comedy in a little more. For example, I think I would say I probably fall into that category.
Yeah.
So, you know, um, she does not knock absolutely everything out of the park, but I think
Right.
she does do better than we as a group, as a whole, tend to say. Not you and I, but like a lot of people,
Right.
you know. So I
I
suspect.
love her in romances, actually. I think she does those really well. But also, I think like when people talk about actresses who are stronger than her, admit like Tabu, for example. Tabu is like way stronger than her. But Aishwarya can do things that Tabu can't even touch.
Of course.
Like Tabu is a horrific dancer. It's like when they make Tabu do like a dance, like there's a dance in Takshak, it's called Rang De. Oh God, I can't watch it. And I don't dance, but I'm like, please don't make her do this, right? And Tabu cannot do like your typical classic like heroine things. Tabu's not going to be comfortable wearing like fashionable outfits and doing like like a fashiony thing, right? So it's kind of like why is Aishwarya expected to do all the things when we don't expect those from other actresses and we're okay with them not being able to do it? Like no one out here is criticizing Tabu for not being able to dance or not be able to do the very heroine things.
Were they at the time in the 90s though?
I don't think Tabu could ever do heroine things.
Right, but so were people criticizing her for that at that time when she was more the age to do those kinds of things?
No, she was just criticized back in the 90s. I honestly, like, this is going to sound so weird, but I honestly think that a lot of people are just jealous of her because there's no other explanation. Like, in the 90s, for example, I was a giant Aishwarya fan from day one, right? Like, from the time I saw her Garden Bareli ads, I was like, who are you? I love you, and the Lakme ads. Like, I knew her as a model. That whole generation knew her as a model way before we knew her as. And there were other big models too, like that people were fans of, right? They just didn't make that transition to movies like she did. But a lot of the stuff about her, what people would be like, oh, she's so plastic or she's too perfect. And I'm like, what does too perfect even mean? Like, is Hrithik Roshan too perfect? Like, what is the problem if she's so beautiful? Like, are we just going to knock on people now just because they look good? It was very weird. Like, none of the criticisms of her ever made sense to me. And I remember recently, so she was at Cannes again. She's been going to Cannes for decades now. And I, being a mega fan, of course, posted her pictures from Cannes because I was like, the queen is at Cannes. And there was just two people on my Instagram who were doing that, me and our friend Vikas Raheja of Let's Talk Melbourne podcast, right? And we were both DMing each other. We were like, but did you see this outfit change? Oh my God, did you see this? Like, we were just fangirling with each other. I literally got direct messages from people who were like, ugh, I hate her. And I'm like, that's weird. And that doesn't say anything bad about Ishwarya. That actually makes me feel badly towards you because you need to look inside yourself and wonder why a 55-year-old woman, walking in con wearing a gown is so triggering for you that you feel the need to respond to my Insta story and say something like, I hate her, right? I think it says more about her critics than it does about her, honestly. And I
Well,
think it's just plain and simple envy.
I'm sure that's some of it. I am someone who, so the Met Gala and Cannes, I she's not at Cannes because she's an actor. She's at Cannes because she's a
For L'Oreal.
L'Oreal. So like
Yeah.
to me, I understand that there is exposure. I understand, at least in a limited way, like the significance of someone from not a Western nation being revered at Cannes for any reason,
Hmm.
right? But like to me, that's what gets me about those conversations. Like if she was there as an actor, I would be so much more interested, but she's not.
Right.
She's there because she's pretty.
Right.
Important as that is to her career and as bewitching as I have found that, ultimately, I'm not interested in that if that's all. And at
Right.
this point, this year, at least, that's all.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
and I also feel for her in that way because, when she has the gall to have a changing body, oh no, people are really awful about it. And, not maybe more to her than other women. I don't know. But it just, I find that very complicated. And the fact that someone shows up at a thing because they're contractually obligated to a makeup
Hmm.
company when this is not a makeup event, primarily. Obviously it is also a makeup event, but like
Right.
this is a film festival. It is a well-regarded film thing.
Yeah.
She's not there as a film person. She's there as a model. So I get very tired of that stuff.
Right.
But I also do think it's, these reactions are interesting, and I also enjoy looking at clothes, right? I don't know anything, but I enjoy
Yeah.
looking at clothes, so that's kind of fun too. And if if anyone is coming to an event like Con and the point of them is to show off particular clothes and sort of nominally in a very particular way represent a culture or a country, then why not her, right? Sure,
Right.
she has as much right as anybody else to do that and a lot more than some people. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
if she's not acting, I'm not particularly interested. I will
Right.
say that. Like her as an international celebrity, and same with Priyanka Chopra, like I don't care.
Right.
I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I'm saying I personally don't care
Yeah.
really. So
Khan in
I find
particular,
it
though,
weird.
has been so strange. Like this year, for example, I can't obviously this is Aishwarya, and I was very excited about her. And then I was excited about Arnir Din Ratri, and it was very cool to see the interview of like Wes Anderson, and he was with Sharmila Tagore
Mhm.
and Simi Garaval, and they were talking about, and that was great. But at the same time, the media was also covering freaking Janvi Kapoor at Cannes because of the movie Homebound. And they were like, "Oh my God, Janvi Kapoor's outfits," and I was like, "Can I would be so
Well,
happy if I
that's so
never heard that
similar
name
to
again."
Aishwarya in a way, right? And yet, like that doesn't work for you at all. But
Yeah.
because you love Aishwarya,
Because
you're excited. So
because to
they
me
seem
it's
similar-ish.
well, to me it's two things. Number one is Ashwar's legacy, right? Like
Sure.
as an actor who has literally been working for 25 years at this point. Like I think she just completed like 25 years in the film industry because Iruvar completed 25 years. But also it's her legacy is like she's not just a movie star, she's also like an icon. I think Aishwarya especially means so much to the Gen X generation such as myself because that era that she became a model, and that era was also when India was like being liberalized and the markets were opening, and we went from having like two channels, which is Doordarshan and DD Metro, to suddenly having cable.
Yeah.
And then Indian girls were finally making it on like the big stage, like Miss India and things like that were happening. And when 94, when Aishwarya won Miss World and Sushmita won Miss Universe, it was like there had been some near misses, like Madhu Sapre just missed out, and then Amrita Shurkar just missed out, and then Sushmita and Aishwarya did it, right? And now when we look back, we're like, oh my God, ugh, pageants. But back then it was like a really big deal because you had this Indian person who was standing on the stage competing with these white blonde women from
Mhm.
like France and Denmark and stuff. And part of the reason that India even started winning in pageants is because until then, Miss India did not have a height requirement. So all the
Ah,
Miss Indias were short.
too
They
short.
like Juhi Chawla was a Miss India. She's what, 5'4". They were all short. So they always got dinged because you're comparing the Indian body type or the Asian body type with what, Scandinavians?
Right.
How is that
Right.
even a level playing field? Like Miss Sweden is always going to be taller, right? But then Miss India realized that the organization realized that if you want to win on the international stage, you have to start putting tall girls there. So they increased the height limit to 5'6", and then we started winning. So there was a lot of conversation also about like, you know, finally making it on the international stage, and like that also opening up avenues for like doing films abroad. Like she started doing like, Mistress of Spices and whatever. I actually dislike her Hollywood films. I think they're absolutely terrible. But, she started making those forays as well. So I think for a lot of us, Aishwarya Rai is not just a movie star, although even as a movie star, her legacy is a lot. She represented so much more. And I think for me, in particular, what I have always loved about Aishwarya is how well spoken she is.
Mm.
Aishwarya, Sushmita, these women had media training,
Mm.
right? Like because of the Miss India thing and Miss World, like you have to hold that crown for like a year. So they travel all over the world and, they have to be really like well spoken and stuff. It was such a joy to be able to listen to an educated person being able to speak well in interviews, because until then we had people like Devi bumbling in interviews. Literally, Devi interviews are torture to watch because she has no idea what she's saying, and there's a lot of like filler words being used. And it used to be like, I love Devi as an actor, I cannot watch her interviews.
Mm.
Then you had Aishwarya Rai, you had Sushmita Sen. They were well spoken, they had opinions, and it was like, wow, what is this new era that we've entered, right? So to me, when I also think that it's very cool that she's a 55-year-old woman with a changing body, with like a menopausal or postmenopausal body, and she's walking in Cannes, and she has been attending Cannes as not only a very skinny model-esque person, but also as a person with a postpartum body. She was bullied relentlessly when she showed up at Cannes. There were literally memes. I unfriended people back then because one person posted a meme where it was a photo of her postpartum body at Cannes, and they said "Gol Bachchan." Goal meaning round. And I was like, really, this is what we're at now. I don't even want to talk to you anymore. So she was bullied for that. Then she lost the baby weight. Then she was hailed for that because of course you lost your baby weight, that means it's so great. And now again with with her postmenopausal body or her menopausal body, she gets so much shit for that. And I'm just like, when are you just going to appreciate women for being women instead of just being obsessed so much
Oh,
with
literally
this?
never.
Never. Yeah. And if you can take pot shots at Aishwarya Rai, what chance does anyone else have? I mean, I've always despised Sonam Kapoor with every fiber of my being, but I especially hated her the year that she missed out on going to Cannes with L'Oreal, because she, in an interview, she said, why she said something about she referred to Aishwarya Rai as an auntie, which is very much a pejorative. And she also said something about why are like women going through menopause being invited there? And I'm like, girl, if you're lucky, you will one day go through it, because the only way you won't go through menopause is if you die young.
Right.
So get a grip, Sonam Kapoor. So I think I just have so much, I care for Aishwarya Rai because I just feel like she experiences extreme and polarizing reactions from people. People either like put her up on a pedestal where they're like, she's Aishwarya Rai, or they absolutely take pot shots at her for every little thing. And it just makes me feel very like defensive towards her, because I feel like she's been in the limelight for so long, and I've seen how
Yeah.
women are ripped apart, and
Yeah.
she has especially been ripped apart more than her contemporaries
Oh,
have.
yeah.
Like even the whole like Salman Khan thing that happened, to this day there are people who are Salman Khan fans, and they will say things about Aishwarya, like they'll call her panoti, which basically means like, I don't know how to translate panoti. It's like someone who's like bad luck for you,
Mm.
like you're with them, so they're dragging you down, kind of like an albatross around your
Yeah.
neck sort of a
Yeah.
situation. And I'm like, oh my god, this woman was literally the victim of domestic violence, and you still support the violent man over her. That's horrible.
Mm.
So I just have a lot of sympathy with her for that. She also doesn't seem particularly happy in her marriage with the Bachchans, and then that, I feel bad for her about that. But even like, I feel like the way she was treated by so many people in the industry was so bad. Like the fact that she was kicked out of Chalte Chalte by Shah Rukh Khan, producer of Chalte Chalte, because Salman Khan came on the sets and made a ruckus. Meanwhile, Shah Rukh and Salman Khan are still besties.
Of course.
So of course, you as a powerful man and a producer took the side of the man who came on set and bullied and harassed and yelled abuses at his girlfriend, who is your employee, by the way. You took his side over hers. And I just kind of like feel like all these people have let her down. And I kind of understand where her affection and love for Mani Ratnam comes from, because she's been
Or
treated so much better
mm,
down south than she has in Bollywood. I don't think the Khans have been good to her. Salman Khan was atrocious to her. Shah Rukh has never stood by her either. She lost her friendship with Rani Mukherjee over Chalte Chalte, because Chalte Chalte then went to Rani Mukherjee, and so that friendship imploded. So I feel bad for her. But every time I see her at Cannes, I feel happy, because I'm like, you go, girl. Just be there, and nobody else is invited. Only you're invited. I only want good things for you. I also was very happy that her face was on the Ponniyin Selvan posters,
ah,
because let's be honest, I did not watch Ponniyin Selvan for Vikram or Jayam Ravi or whatever. Like, yeah, fine, they're great. I watched it for Aishwarya Rai. So the fact that a 55-year-old woman can still get audiences to come and watch a dubbed movie or a subtitled movie,
yeah.
and they're still like happy to see her on screen. To me, it's also like a win for women of a certain age, right? Like,
If they are the most beautiful woman in the world,
this is true.
not most of
This
the
is
other
true.
ones.
Yeah, that's true. But like, even with her, she has to deal with so
Oh
many
yeah,
brickbats.
yeah,
And so Aishwarya is interesting, because it's like you see all of the sexism and the nastiness, and also the internalized misogyny that so many women have,
yeah,
the fat phobia, the
yeah.
ageism. You see all that stuff that's hurled at her, and you're like, oh my God, I'm so glad I'm not
There's a
famous.
lot written on her physical person, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she has
So
to
much
carry a lot.
projection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wonder, go ahead, go ahead.
Even on Reddit and stuff, like, people have a problem with the fact that when she takes her daughter, when she takes Aradhya to like film premieres or whatever, she holds her hand. I'm like, there's paparazzi there. And there's probably fans over there who want to like pat
Absolutely.
Aradhya, and like,
Absolutely. There are,
any mom is going to hold on to her
yeah,
child. Like, the only other option is to leave Aradhya at home. Like, what is the problem if she's holding her child's hand? Like, God forbid a mother show love to her child. She
right.
gets criticized for the most bullshit
Anything.
reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really appreciate what you're saying about her role as a face of and a body of India at a time
Yeah.
India was going outward
Hmm.
very fast.
Yeah.
Very fast, very big. And that was needed. Someone needed to be multiple
Yeah.
someones, I'm sure, needed to serve that role, even just in a more pop culture way. And
Hmm.
she is this face and body of economic liberalization and many other things, and compete
Yeah.
on a what, this my personal opinion of beauty pageants is they should be abolished immediately.
Right.
Because if that's such a good idea, why don't the people with
Right.
power do it? I think
Right.
it's gross and horrible. However, since they exist, I absolutely understand the sort of national self-concept and all that kind of stuff about, okay,
Right.
if this is a field, we want to compete in it too, right? So I
Right.
get that. And I remember it's been within the last 10 years and maybe less that the first um uh like of Indian descent American won Miss America,
Oh,
right?
okay. I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure that's
Okay.
been not too terribly long. And I remember that some of these same kind of conversations, like, okay, yes, this is a problematic playing field, but it exists. And
Right.
we want in as well, and we want to be
Yeah.
seen as um, being competitive in this way and deserving this,
Yeah.
being up to
Right.
whatever you may have to say about these standards. We would also like to be up to them,
Right.
and I get that. Like, this is a very imperfect,
Yeah.
complicated
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Because there's also the thing about beauty pageants, like, yes, they suck, but they're also very closely related to fields like modeling, and more specifically fashion. So I remember when Aishwarya became Miss World and Sushmita became Miss Universe, and then also when Aishwarya started getting invited to Cannes, which was very early on. I, as a person who really loved fashion, was very excited to see Indian designers being showcased, because
Right,
she
there's
would wear,
that too.
yeah,
Yeah,
she would wear Tarun Tahiliani one year. She would wear Manish Malhotra the other year. She would wear JJ Valaya another year. And it was exciting and fun to see Indian designers and to see whom she had picked. And also a description in the media of what her outfit. Oh, she's wearing a JJ Valaya velvet outfit with like Zardozi work and Ari work that was done by craftsmen in Lucknow. Until then, internationally, you only oh, Natalie Portman is wearing blah blah, Natalie Portman in vintage Christian Dior, or Eva Longoria and whatever. So for the first time you got to hear that. And until then, the only Indian actresses who went to Cannes Film Festival were basically Smita Patel and Shabana Azmi, right? Like they went there with like Sham Benegal and stuff like that. Well, there was no money, so they would basically wear their own wardrobe. Every photo that I've ever seen of Smita Patel and Shabana Azmi at international film festivals, not just Cannes, but also like at the Berlinale or at the Venice Film Festival, whatever, they're basically wearing these silk saris that they own, like a kanjivaram or something, and like a bindi, and their hair's in a bun. It's very like, I just walked off a set in Film City and I'm here at St. Mark's Square in Venice.
Yeah.
And that's fine. It's delightful to see those photos. But for the first time, you had an Indian actress who was walking down the red carpet at Cannes, and she was wearing, and she's had some outfit misfires over the
Sure.
years, admittedly, but she was walking down and you were like, okay, what designer are you wearing? I'm wearing Ritu Kumar. What is
Yeah.
this outfit? Can you describe it? For the first time, fashion was also being highlighted. And I think, as problematic as beauty pageants are, they're so, you kind of can't remove them from those worlds of like modeling and fashion and stuff like that. And so to
But
me,
not,
that was
but
also
not,
very exciting.
at least not in the US. They're not high fashion.
No, they're not. Well,
No,
not
they're not
here.
like artistic, edgy,
Right.
haute couture kind of fashion.
Yeah,
They're
yeah, yeah.
more like, it's very basic.
It's very glitz and glam.
Yeah, and I've actually got the list of on Wiki of the Miss Americas because I wanted to find out the
Mm.
American woman who was Nina Davuluri in 2014.
Oh, okay.
Um,
I had no idea.
like all of these women have shoulder length hair or longer. All of them have big smiles, which also is an American thing, right?
Veneers, probably.
Yeah, well, I guess not all of them have shoulder length hair. Most of them do. Um, you know, it's very vanilla. It's very, and not
Yeah.
vanilla in the like critical to all sense thing way that we've used vanilla sometimes, but like this is your basic
Yeah, yeah. But
kind of thing.
I
And
I do think,
Aishwarya to me visually has never been your
oh
basic.
no, absolutely not.
Her whole, she does not have a basic face card at all.
No, it's so funny though. Like one time I was chatting with someone, I can't even remember who is, one of our filmy friends, and they said something like, I mean, Aishwarya is never going to be the girl next door. This made me laugh because I'm from Mumbai. She's from Mumbai. She's from
Right.
Khar. She went to a school that my friends went to. And the best part is, I know someone, his name is Feli, and his mom lived in Khar. Well, I mean, continues to live in Khar. And she did math tuition. Aishwarya Rai was her student.
Wow.
So Feli has literally met Aishwarya Rai like 1 million times because she would come to his house to take math tuitions for like her 12th standard board exams or something. So she actually is the quintessential girl next door who went for math tuitions with like oiled hair and pigtails. But of course, that's not how we think of her.
I do think that I'm going to use a pat phrase because I can't think of another, but like
Mm,
grew into her beauty, right? I think when she's
yeah.
very young, she's not nearly as stunning as she is later. Fair, that's not a criticism. That's just what kind of my opinion. And but yeah, she has, what do I want to say? Like there's something about the maturity within her that is also
Kind of like
like,
bloomed in a way.
yeah, because some people really do peak at 17, but she did not.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it just added more layers to her beauty as she went on. And I think I actually still find her so beautiful, like in Ponniyin Selvan when she's the queen and she's all vengeful, and I'm like, yeah, stab him.
Yeah, yeah.
Take your revenge,
And again,
queen.
like she is doing something with her face in those
Right.
scenes, which is, I mean, yes, her face is amazing, but she also knows how to use it, like you were saying.
Yeah.
And what good is being pretty without knowing what to do with your face, Katrina?
Right.
So,
Yes, Katrina for sure.
and she to me is the pinnacle of, I mean, not only not using your face
Useless.
many times, but like I find her bland. I find her so bland. Like I get why people think she's pretty. Sure, she's
Yeah.
pretty. Meh. Like,
Right.
what else you got? Oh, nothing. Okay.
Right.
Okay, she can dance also. Obviously, she's
Yeah.
but like I don't, she's not interesting.
But
That's why
also I find Katrina's dances soulless. Like I know she's a good dancer,
right.
but she never captivates me with her dance. Like if I'm going to watch a dance, like even Urmila, I love Urmila's dances because again, she's so quicksilver with her
Yeah.
face. The best dancers are actually the ones that also emote with their face. Katrina's good technically. I'll give her that. Like her limbs move really well and all of that. But like her face is still blank. So I'm like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like I find Kajal a better dancer than
Oh, sure.
Katrina
Yeah.
because Kajal is at least she's having fun. She's not technically perfect, but she's having fun. She's having a good time, right? Yeah.
I find Katrina, and again, I'm not a dancer. I find her sort of like an athletic dancer,
Yeah.
which is a lot of work. Like that is not,
Right.
again, not a that's one kind of thing that I'm not as interested in to watch as I am in these more artistic, expressive,
Yeah.
whatever. But like in terms of physical,
You're right.
it's like there is a
Like
lot there for sure.
her dances in Thugs of Hindustan or in Dhoom or what is that song? Chikni Chameli. It's very aerobics. It
Yeah.
feels very
Yeah.
Jane Fonda aerobics 80s,
Which is a lot of hard work.
which is a lot of hard work, but it's not particularly captivating to me to
Yeah,
watch. I'd
artistic.
rather watch, Aishwarya. Um, what do you think about? I think one of the things she gets criticized a lot for is for being too diplomatic. I think that's where the plastic and the fake
Yeah,
allegations come
as someone
from.
who doesn't really pay any attention to interviews, I don't
Mm,
feel like I can comment on that. But if if that is how she is often, I can't blame her for it
no,
because
it's smart.
she cannot say anything
Yeah,
with it seems to me, and especially after what you've been saying, no matter what she says,
she's dissed.
so then why give anybody anything?
Yeah. I mean, as much as I love Aishwarya, and I've seen so many of her interviews. So the two most boring interviews to watch of people that I love are actually Madhuri Dixit and Aishwarya because they have one thing in common. They say nothing.
Right,
Everything is just so diplomatic and so politically correct. And it's like literally they can't answer any questions and I don't blame them for it.
right.
Like I remember watching an interview ages ago of Madhuri where they were specifically talking about dance and they said they literally asked her, do you think you're the best dancer in Bollywood? She thought for 2 seconds and then she said, well, there have been many great dancers before me. And she rattled off some names, Vajanti Mala, whatever, Wahida. And then they were like, okay, but do you think you're the best dancer? And she was like, I don't really think that there's like a best or worst in dance. It was just like, girl, just say it. Just
Yeah.
say, yes, I think I'm going to. She can't, though, because if
No.
she says that, they're going to be like, how dare she think?
And in Aishwarya's case, okay, truth comes to light
Yeah,
about her relationship with Salman and the abuse that she suffered. Nobody does anything. So
exactly.
you say something, and maybe privately some people are incredibly sympathetic and helpful. I don't know,
Hmm.
right? But
Right.
like publicly, this is why
Yeah,
women don't say things, right?
exactly.
Like, and she lost out on a film because her co-star,
She was
who
kicked out
we
of
like,
six
is a terrible
films.
bro. Right. Right. So like, of course, don't give anybody anything because they're sure not going to give you anything.
Yeah, she spoke
But
about like Shah Rukh's treatment of Ishwarya is one of the things I've always held against him, not just for the Chalte Chalte ouster, but she literally says in Rendezvous with Simi Grewal that she was kicked out of something like 6 films. Like Veer Zara originally offered to Ishwarya. There were so many films that she was supposed to do that she was kicked out of. And these were prestigious projects, but she was kicked out. Why? Because people wanted to be in the good graces of her boyfriend. Like, think about that for a second. You are siding with an actual domestic violence perpetrator
Mhm.
over a woman. And even Aishwarya Rai
Mhm.
is not safe from
Nope.
that.
Nope.
So
Nobody
what
is.
chances do other women have? Yeah.
Right.
So I don't blame her. Like her interviews are boring as heck, but what can she say? She's been asked questions. I've seen interviews where they're like, do you think you're the most beautiful woman in the world? What can she say to that? If she says yes, she's vain. If she
Right.
says no, they're like, ugh, she's just so self-deprecating, whatever. No one believes it. Like you can't win. So I do actually think that being off social media is the smartest thing an actor can do. So props to Ranbir Kapoor for that. No one will know the
Right.
depths of how awful he is because he's not on social media. But also, if you're going to do interviews, be very beauty pageant queenie, where you say nothing, where your words actually don't mean anything at all.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way to, you know, because people are just going to dissect and pick at everything you say and blow it out of proportion. So just don't give them nothing.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna ask you what your top 5 Aishwarya Rai performances are. They don't have to be
Right.
5 best films, but more like performances. And then we are going to conclude this episode by discussing ice cream flavor.
Which once again, I forgot to prepare. So I actually have some web pages. I don't know why I
I
can't.
can answer ice cream first to give you some time.
I was even yesterday thinking I deserve some ice cream today because I went to the Department of Motor Vehicles and had to wait in line. And
Good job.
I actually got sent home without even getting to see anybody because they were taking so long. So I was
Oh,
pretty upset. But I also didn't get any ice cream. But I had pizza.
that's very sad. Oh,
Okay.
you had pizza?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I had a treat. Um, okay. My top five Aishwarya performances, I believe I'm going to go from five to one.
So one being your favorite.
One being my favorite. So I'm starting with five. My fifth favorite would be Ravanan,
Mm.
then Taal,
Hmm.
which we have discussed.
Yes.
I'm putting the movie I watched for this episode, or Pyaar Ho Gaya, at number three.
Yay.
I really, really loved it. I loved the comedy for her, especially.
Yeah.
Two, I'm putting Kandoukondain Kandoukondain.
Oh, I love that.
And again, I will put the asterisk in. She's dubbed, but I find that performance very physical, and obviously
Yeah.
that's her. So
Yeah.
I still don't know how to get my brain around this whole dubbing thing. I find the fact that it happens is fascinating to me. But yeah, so I'm not sure what to do with that exactly, but I do love that film. Um, yes. And then number one is Kadrare from Bunty or Bubbly, because that's
Okay.
is so iconic to me. Like that song is everything. If I had to name my favorite item number, I would probably
She's
say
so
that.
stunning.
She's such an actor in that song through dance. And obviously the meta text of her now husband and father-in-law is funny. But even without any of that, because I'm not even sure I knew that at the time that I saw it,
Mm.
right? That is just indelible. It is an indelible performance to me. Yeah, that's it for me.
It's also interesting because Kajrare, there's only 2 songs she's done where she's been called sexy, where one was Kajrare and the other was that terrible song from Shakti with that she did with Shah Rukh. It's Ishq Kamina,
Right,
which is very like raunchy because you don't see Aishwarya doing
right,
raunchy. So
right.
there's Ishq Kamina, but Kajrare, she's so like sensual and like the way she
Power
uses her
she has in it.
eyes.
Yeah, and like the way she like kicks Abhishek away and everything. And
She's
I
so
enjoy his like
stunning.
goofy dancing too, and
Yeah,
he's doing that, so I think that's fun as well. But like she is, and as much as I love Ronnie, obviously I'm on record as being Ronnie Mukherjee mega fan. Um, this was absolutely it was right to bring in someone else to do a
yeah,
song like this. Like they could have found a way for Bunty to or probably to be in disguise doing this, right? This was better. This is
yeah.
and the way she's holding the lamp all the time. Like I love
Oh my
everything about
God.
it. So for me, that is the
Yeah.
number one Ashwarya performance.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna go the opposite way. So I'm gonna talk about my favorites first. So my number one favorite performance is actually her in Kandoukondain Kandoukondain because I think she's amazing in it. The movie is amazing, and I actually really love watching her with Tabu. Like the two of
Yeah,
them as sisters,
that's nice.
it's just so believable and it's so
Mhm.
nice and heartwarming. They have such great chemistry together. I love just watching them together. So,
Mhm.
and she's amazing in all the songs.
Yeah.
So Kandoukondain is my number one. I love number two is Guru. She's
Oh,
so
sure.
good
Yeah,
in
she is
this
so good,
movie.
Guru.
I
Mhm.
love the scene in the train. I love the scene where she's like cleaning the veranda in their house, with a broom, and then she sits and she's tired. I love seeing her do all the chores, like when she's cooking and she's frying something. I'm like, oh, sure is cooking. And then when she's like washing the clothes and putting, I don't know. I love seeing like Gharelu Aishwarya in that movie, and then when she's like in that song Barsore Megha, oh, she looks so good in it. So number one is Kandoukondain Kandoukondain. Number two is Guru. Number three is Iruvar because she's great in Iruvar.
Mhm.
So at this point, that's one Rajiv Menon movie and two Mani Ratnam. This is what I mean by the Southern film industry knowing what to do with Aishwarya and really like taking advantage of her
Even though she's
talents.
not speaking the language. It's fascinating.
Yeah, she speaks
Weird.
Tulu because she's
Mhm.
from Karnataka. Oh,
Yeah.
but the Tamil film industry is constantly casting people. Like all their top heroines right now, and for a while have been North Indians. It's crazy. Like Tamanna Bhatia and all
But
of
are
these
they all
people.
they're not all dubbed, right?
They were all dubbed initially. I believe Tamanna Bhatia speaks fluent Tamil now. So, but I mean, Tabu is dubbed in Kandoukondain as well.
I know. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so Kandoukondain Kandoukondain, Guru, Iruvar. I would say Chokher Bali. I think she's really great in Chokher Bali. I feel very sad for her character, but she's really good in that. And again, I love watching her with Raima Sen. I really love watching Ishwara with another woman because I just think there's something about her that I just enjoy it. It's kind of like how when we watch Utsav, we love Rekha with Anuradha Patel.
Yeah,
There's something
yeah.
about that like bonding, the girl bonding that I love. And then number five, I would pick Jeans.
Yeah, she's fun in that.
I enjoy that movie. And
Yeah.
I love that Seven Wonders of the World song where she's just like in a different outfit and everything. I'm like, yeah. And then the duplicate song, like where the two Aishwaryas are on stage. I love that one too.
Mhm.
So those are my top five Aishwarya Rai films. And special mention for Raincoat, which I also think is very good. Which is your worst Aishwarya performance or worst Aishwarya film?
I have not seen I'm not sure I've seen any of her beyond Bride and Prejudice. I don't think I've seen any of her English language stuff.
Oh,
Some of
A
these like
Mistress
Pink
of Spices
Panther and those
is
things I haven't seen. Um, I didn't think about this one ahead. What's your worst?
I mean, Guzaarish is horrible, but then honestly, all her English language films are bad. Like A Mistress of Spices is so horrific. It's such a bad movie. I don't like Bride and Prejudice either. It's so terrible.
I
Um,
was trying to decide where I would put that one. I don't think she's good in that. I
no,
get why she was cast. It doesn't really work.
no, it's really bad. And then I haven't seen her other English movies like Last Legion. I haven't seen that one mostly because all her English movies have been such duds. I was
Oh,
like, I mean, I like Provoked though. Provoked is good.
Doom 2. She's phenomenal in Doom 2.
We have a subscriber whose name I'm forgetting because I have a bad memory, who loves Suhani from Dhoom 2, and she said she always quotes her, which like just made me
Oh,
laugh.
yeah, the character is quotable because it's so absurd, but I don't think what Aishwarya is bringing to that is making the most of the absurdity that was inherent. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like, I think Rithik kind of does that one better, but
although Ritik is pretty terrible.
his character is less ridiculous than hers.
Yeah,
Her character is extremely ridiculous.
yeah.
And again, could someone else have done something better with this? Yeah, I think so.
I
Not
think
not
Bipasha
to
would
a
have done
good
it so
extent,
well.
right? Like, and I don't ask me why exactly, but I think she's so grating in that movie. So I might put
She's
that as
great.
my least favorite of what I've seen with the
Yeah,
risk that there's quite a few. I mean, I've seen like 26 of her films, I think, but that's what is that, half maybe or not even? So, if some
yeah.
ways
That one is pretty
some I
grating.
don't remember. Like I've seen Dil Ka Rishta. I don't remember it at
Oh,
all.
it's so bad. She
And
produced it.
she's opposite what's his butt who's so
Arjun Rampal.
right, who is extremely pretty but very wooden. So like I'm
So
sure she's
bad.
better than he is, but like I've forgotten that movie. I've talked briefly about how I saw Ablot Chalain pretty
Oh
early and
yeah, that's pretty bad.
part of me wants to rewatch that now that I know more of her.
Why?
Nah.
No. There's also Hamara Dil Aapke Paas Hai, where she's with Anil Kapoor. It's terrible. There's a few movies she did back then that were like really, really bad, where she was just like phoning it in. I do enjoy her in Josh though, and I feel like Josh
Yes.
doesn't get spoken about as much.
Yeah.
Like, but I can see how the Josh character could have become grating. It could have gone into
Yeah, you're right.
Suhani territory, but it
Right,
didn't.
right. That one's
So
better. Yeah, I that was also when
yeah.
I was just kind of brainstorming what I've seen. I was like, yeah,
Hmm.
I that doesn't quite crack my top five, but I like that one
Yeah.
really fine.
Same. Okay. Do you want me to go with my ice cream choice
Yes,
first?
please.
Okay. My ice cream choice for her is Rose because she
Oh,
is beautiful and glamorous. The rose is the queen of flowers. It's my favorite flower in the world. And so I just think she's like Rose. And Rose is a very quintessentially Indian flavor. We put rose syrup in everything from like gulab jamun to everything. And then we decorate our desserts with rose petals. Rose is just ubiquitous
yeah.
in India and in the Middle East for that matter.
Yeah.
Rose kulfi is really delicious. So I just think of her as like a beautiful rose, just kind of like the epitome of beauty and grace and elegance. And I think she has like a complexity to her that I really enjoy. I think she's a vastly more intelligent woman than she gives off, because I think for her, diplomacy and kind of like protecting her image is so important. So there's like a little bit of mystery with, like, there's no mystery with Kajal. You know
Right.
what I mean? But with Aishwarya, there's some amount of mystery.
And Rose evokes a little bit of mystery to you, I'm gathering.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, because it's like it's
Mhm.
a more complicated, like a rose is not a daisy. You know what I mean?
Right,
Or
right.
like a rose ice cream has certain like layers and levels to it, or like a rose kulfi has like some layers and levels to it. And then, you're usually putting some nuts in there, and then she has that beautiful peaches and cream,
Yeah.
very rosy complexion. So rose is my choice for. It's funny because the only other time I have mentioned rose has been for Smita Patil, and that's because roses have thorns. This is the we're not focusing on the thorns here, though.
Right. Focus on
Yeah.
the petals.
Yes.
I've been trying to think like what is the most beautiful woman in the world of ice cream?
Mm. Mm.
Right? What's the thing that everybody likes or is supposed to like? And I feel like it's chocolate.
Yes.
But then I didn't want to say chocolate because it is inherently a New World food. I wanted an
Yeah.
Indian thing, but I can't think of an Indian flavor that is also everybody is supposed to like it or does like it or has had a chance to like it, right? Like
That would be
I
mango, which I picked
mango
for
maybe
Madhuri.
we've also used mango before, right? So I
Yeah.
don't want to use it again. But yeah, to me she's a I don't want to give her vanilla because I don't think she's a sine qua non person. I really don't like kind of the way I feel about Renbeer, which I'm feeling
Mm.
bad saying that, but it's also true.
It's
That's
the
also his
only time.
dynasty as well, right? That's not just
Yeah.
it's his lineage. Um, so yeah, I think I might just go with like a super high quality chocolate. Um,
Like a Walrona or something.
yeah, that some people may disparage for whatever reason, like, oh, it's too plain or oh, it's too fancy or so.
Yeah.
Um, Before we close, I wanted to end with something I've been reading. I've been reading this great book about the scandals of classic Hollywood by Anne
Okay.
Helen Peterson, who was a professor and a scholar and has now quit that and is doing other writing. And she's writing about, all these scandals from, again, from classic Hollywood, so from the 10s, 20s, 30s, or whatever. And I just finished the chapter on Clara Bow, uh,
Mm.
and, the it girl. And there was always
Yeah.
about what is it, but whatever it is, she was it.
Mm-hmm.
And it,
Yeah.
yes, sex appeal, but it was different than that. And in one of the texts that this author puts forward, the person writing is talking about how it is the it girl is a girl who's pretty but doesn't know it. And I was like, mother effing, like this is what women are stuck with, right? Like you
Yeah.
better be pretty, but you better not try. And
Yeah.
better manage that prettiness well, but you better not think about it. Like what it is
Yeah.
absolutely impossible. And I was thinking about that as you were talking about some of the things that Aishwarya has faced. And like, you better be the most beautiful woman in the world, but you better not say it and you better not rest on it, but you better give us more. But even when you do, we won't be happy with it. And da 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 da.
Yeah.
It's like this impossibility.
You have to be the best, but you have to be humble about it, and you
Right,
can't know it, which is
right.
nonsense. I've been watching the America's Sweethearts, Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders
Oh yeah.
documentary. So
Yeah.
last year, my friend and I watched season one, and I just finished season two. I binged on it last night, and I love that documentary. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
And there's a sentence in it where I don't know if it's a sentence in it or I was reading an article about it, but someone said, and I think that this also holds true for actresses, Hollywood as well as Bollywood, but mostly Bollywood, where they said the perfect Dallas Cowboys cheerleader or any NFL, perfect NFL cheerleader has to be a woman who looks like she's a virgin, but she would definitely love to have sex with you.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, what? Excuse me while I go throw up. But I feel like that's the thing, like the whole like Madonna whore kind of a thing. And yeah, so annoying. Yay, it's great to be a woman, Beth.
Sure is. In 2020. It was great. It's great.
Okay, I think that concludes our Aishwarya Rai episode, unless you have any interesting tidbits to add.
No, I just let's talk about her. Please leave your comments because
Yeah.
and if you have a if you are an anti-fan or like someone
Mm.
who does not respond much to her, I would really love to know why.
Yeah.
You can express that in a respectful and thoughtful way, which our commenters always are. So I appreciate that.
Yes.
But if you're not just like, she's too pretty, meh, like I can understand that reaction, but can you process that a little further, please? Thank you.
Yes, that's a good point. Yeah, so I think that concludes this episode of Filmy Ladies. And please tell us what your favorite Aishwarya Rai performances are. Or conversely, if you feel like there was a movie that she could have done so much better and you feel like she dragged the project down, we're open to hearing that as well.
Are any of these Hollywood things any good? Like, should we be watching the Pink Panther 2 and stuff like that? Like, let us know.
Oh, that one I'm actually interested in watching because like I like Pink Panther and I
Right.
love the color pink. And I was like, that's the only, but the other ones are very bad. Don't watch them.
Maybe I'll watch it for our pink episode coming up here.
Oh yeah, that would be
Yeah, I will, but
funny.
I won't. Um, who's our next superstar? Is it Preeti?
Preeti Zinta.
Yay! Okay, good.
It's Preeti Zinta.
Great.
I have been humming Idhar Chala Main Udhar Chala every day because I think Koi Mil Gaya is going to be one of my Preeti watches because I just love
I
the
haven't seen that in
Preeti pick.
so long. Maybe I'll
Oh,
rewatch it too. That would
my
be
friends make fun of me because I cry when Jadoo says Jadoo nahi jayega. They're like, this movie is rubbish. I'm like, shut up. I love Jadoo. Okay, we will see you next week. Thank you for watching Filmy Ladies. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bye.